I've heard many stories about Pootie Tang, the man, the myth, and before he was a documentary LA, I pressed such time to get his story in his own words. This is his story. This is the real Pootie Tang, in his own words. I hope to separate all the myths and legends surrounding Pootie Tang and bring you the
Yeah, you know, it's like I don't know. I was keeping my head straight about it. I mean, it's like shit, you know, it's like shit happened, shit need to be done, take care of it, whatever. No big deal. But Fred was kind of wigged out about it. I don't know. You know, I don't know if this was the first time something like this has happened, you know, or I kind of got a little bit of a feeling that maybe something, maybe not this extreme happened, but there's shit that has gone down before. But I mean, he kept asking me, he's like, you know, we cool. Well, not like that, you know, but he was like, everything's okay, right? You're okay, right? Everything's okay. He wanted to make sure I was cool. And I kept reassuring him. I was like, yeah, it's no biggie. You know, it's cool. But, you know, I would catch glances from him on the set where he just looked worried and everything. And then eventually one day, this was like a couple weeks later. Yeah, like 2.5, 3 weeks later. I showed up, you know, to go on the set, on the lot, and I was told that I wasn't allowed on the lot anymore. I was kind of like shocked. I was like, wait, I work here. And they're like, you don't work here anymore. Security wouldn't let me on. You know, I knew what it was, but I was like, I also knew if this motherfucker was going to kill strippers, cut them up and dispose of them and act like nothing happened. Or, well, he didn't really act like nothing happened, but you know what I mean. Like, you know, shit happens. You know. And, so I was just like, you know, I'm keeping my mouth shut. Well, that night, you know, it was, you know, I was having dinner at home, just relaxing. Don't even remember what I was eating. I love food, so I mean, it could have been anything, and I was loving it. Anyway, got a call, and it was Fred, you know, and he asked if he could come over. I said, well, yeah, sure, it's no biggie. And he said, okay, he'd be there in about 20 minutes. Well, I knew this motherfucker was in Vietnam. He seemed a little unhinged. I went. I grabbed my gun. I had my gun on me. I didn't know what he was gonna pull. He was acting weird. You know, he pretty much got me fired, kicked off the fucking lot, the set, everything. You know, and he was acting weird. I didn't know what he was gonna do. So I had my gun on me. 20 minutes later, he shows up. And he comes in. He's acting calm, cool, and collected, which put me on edge. You know, because I'm like, you know, everything going on. He's, you know, it wasn't like it was a big deal that he was acting calm. But, I don't know, there was just something about it. And I was like, everything going on. He was acting worried before. Now he's like, chill. I invite him in. He sits down. Pours both a drink, you know. We're sitting there drinking whiskey, having a little drink, and he reaches in his pocket, and I tensed. You know, in his jacket pocket, and I tensed up, and I, like, you know, had my hand on my gun, you know, ready. You know, I already had it cocked, and it was like, I was getting ready to pull it out. I was just like, tense. And he pulls out an envelope, which he proceeds to put on the table and scoot across to me. He looked a little wary. And I pulled out my gun and I set it on the table right there in front of me, and he looked shocked, like really surprised. But I told him, I was like, listen, I just didn't know what was going on. You acted weird. You got me fired. Explained to him, and he kind of relaxed a little bit, and he's like, just open the envelope. So I opened the envelope, and inside was $5,000 in $100 bills. And he's like, listen, no hard feelings. I realized I act weird. I'm sorry for getting you fired and everything, but here, I want you to take this. I know you'll find another job. I will give you recommendations. I just can't work with you anymore. He was really upset, and at first I didn't believe him, but he was honest. He was honest about it. Just, I think he was actually really upset with what he did. He regretted it. He felt bad. So I said, no problem. I was like, listen, man, I'm sorry everything had to go down like this. And, said I was happy to work with him while I did, and happy to call him a friend while I did, while I could. And he said that, he would try to keep in touch, but, it might take time or everything else. But that was the last time I saw him. He finished his drink, gave me a big fucking hug, and left, and that was it. Next time I saw him, I was watching him on TV. And that was it. But that was my brief time on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, working with Fred Rogers. It was a great experience. I mean, that night was crazy. That was one 4th of July that you definitely don't forget. But it was great, and other than the the one bit of craziness, he was a really good guy. He was a good friend. I mean, there's stuff he opened up to me about that I will not repeat here, and that will go with me to my grave, because that's the kind of shit that friends share with each other, and they don't share with anybody else. This story, I just felt like it was just one of those stories I had to relate. Because, sorry Fred, R.I.P. But it was just like, it's a story that's too unbelievable to not be told. Maybe later on a later episode, I'll tell a completely different story about him, because we had some times that were fun, that were a little mischievous, but they weren't on this level. But that's my story of working on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yeah, I've talked enough about like some of the crazier shit I've done. I figured I'd change tacks a little bit. As you can see, there's been a little changes here since my last video. I'm getting ready to move, so packed up the library. It's kind of sad to see empty shelves, but that's beside the point. I want to talk a little bit about my brief experience working on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in 1982. It was quite an experience. I had a friend who got me hooked up, working on the show. I had brief puppeteer work. It wasn't really great. I mean, I did a couple little things here and there for children at a burn ward in Chicago. So, I moved out west, and my friend got me a job on Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. So I just moved there, and he knew somebody who knew somebody, and you know how it goes. And he got me a job on there doing some of the puppeteering for the Land of Make Believe. Well, anyway, I started working there, and I got to know Fred Rogers of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood fairly well, and we started grabbing a drink after work. It's kind of tough for him. He had to find certain out of the way places to go and have a beer or a shot. He loved his whiskey. Little known fact about him, because everybody recognized him. He's Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and people seeing him, knock a few back. Some people were cool with it. Some people found it interesting, and then there was other people that were like, "But you're a children's icon," and that kind of bullshit. So, yeah. Anyway, a couple months into working there, he asked me, more about like how I got into the business, and told him how I got into it, and then he asked me if this friend could procure certain things for him. Certain things being cocaine and hookers. And I knew my friend. My friend knew people, like I said. He knew people. He knew people that knew people. He knew people that knew people that knew people, and so on and so forth. It's fucking LA, dude. And I said, let me get a hold of my friend and find out. And so I did. And the next day I told him, I was like, yeah, it'll be no problem. Asked him when he wanted to have his little party. And sorry, gotta adjust here. It's a little embarrassing. And he had it set up for 4th of July weekend. So I was like, okay, no problem. So, week went by, regular week. And then Friday came around, and Fred was like, hey, so we still on for tomorrow night. I really want to have a party and do it upright. I said, no problem. I asked him what kind of hookers he wanted. And he had a weird kind of fetish for women of smaller stature. Midgets. I asked him how many. He said about half a dozen. And I said, okay, let me get my friend on it, and we should be okay. And he asked about the cocaine. I said, no problem, I'll make sure personally that gets taken care of, because, even though I was only out there for a few months, I got to know people, and got to know people that knew people, and so forth, through my friend and just through casual acquaintances and stuff. So, Saturday came around. It was kind of tough. It was actually kind of tough getting together the 6 midget hookers / strippers. They like to call themselves escorts, but, whatever. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. And, he rented a suite, the Hilton. And, he told me show up by like 9:30 p.m. I showed up at 8:45 because I'm always early to shit. That's how I roll. And so I show up, and, I got the cocaine on me. It's a decent amount, it was enough to kill at least 3 elephants. It was good shit, So I show up to the suite, and I was a little early, but like he was already there, and a couple other people from the set, and there was yeah, Mr. McFeely. He was one of them. He loved his cocaine. It wasn't so much like he wasn't so excited about the strippers, but he really wanted some of that nose candy, if you know what I mean. You know, so we're chilling, listening to some tunes. Bachman Turner Overdrive. He really, really loved Bachman Turner Overdrive. So we listened to some BTO and did some cocaine, you know, and you know, I asked him when everybody else was going to show up, and this was by about 10, and he said it was pretty much just us. It was going to be one hell of a party. It was small, kind of casual, you know, and told him, okay, that the hooker, stripper, escort, midgets were going to be there at about 11, so, you know, we hung out, you know, had some drinks. By the time we got that knock on the door at 11, I was pretty lit. You know, the party was, even though it was a small party, but was there maybe let's say 6 or 7 of us. Well, yeah, it was about 6 or 7 of us. Pretty much 1-to-1 midget to average height person or something. So we got the knock at the door, you know, and the stripper escort chick, whatever, showed up, and you know, the party really got blasting into overdrive there. You know, we were doing fucking blow off midget hooker booty and all kinds of shit. It was getting pretty crazy. Well, anyway, then I look over at Fred, and he just kind of gave me a wink, and he took off in the bedroom with a couple of the little ladies with him. And, you know, he had he filled up a shot glass full of blow. He had a shot glass full of blow and a fucking fifth of Jack Daniels, and he took 2 of the little ladies in the room. Okay, you know, party's going on, and what was it? It was about 20 minutes later, he comes out of the room, and you know, he's looking kind of agitated, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, you know, Pootie, I need to talk to you. I have a problem. I have a major fucking problem, dude. It's like, okay, you know, he took me off to the side, and he's like, dude, I killed him. And I was like, you know, I was flying, and I sobered up pretty quick, because it was just, I was processing. It was a lot of processing, and I was like, what do you mean you killed them? Killed who? What happened? What's going on? And he just looked at me, he grabbed me by the shoulders, and he said, the hookers, I killed those 2 hookers I took in the room with me. We were doing blow, we were having fun, we were naked, it was getting that pretty crazy, and then something clicked, and I strangled one, and I beat the other one to death with the lamp. He fucking, I don't know, it was just like, it was blowing my mind. It was, I didn't know how to react, but I was like, okay, no problem, we'll take care of this. And you know, we got the 4 other midget stripper hooker thingies, dealios, fucking completely blasted, blacked out. We took them, we dropped their asses off on the other side of town. Okay, let me go back. First, we got everybody else out there. We started ushering people out, trying to be calm and collected and, act like nothing was going on. We didn't want to make a big scene, but we just was like, man, oh shit, happy 4th of July. This shit got crazy. It was fun. Getting kind of tired now. I'm coming down. I got a headache. Whatever excuse we could use. We slowly ushered on. Mr. McFeely, dude, it's like we had to just be like, dude, here's a baggie of Coke. You need to go, because he wanted the party to just keep going. And, we got all of our group out. And then, all that was left was the 4 other, and they were kind of starting to wonder, so we got them fucking loaded. We were like, oh, they kind of passed out, but it's cool, and we got them liquored up, and they were blind fucking drunk. So we, just put them in a taxi, gave the taxi a fucking address that was way across town, sent those sons of bitches off, right? And then it was time for cleanup. I mean, the one bled a lot, head wound and shit. And so it's like, we're like, fuck. First things first, let's get rid of these bodies. Then we'll clean like a son of a bitch, and we will get the fuck out, So he sent me to do everything. Of course, he fucking Mr. Rogers, he can't go out and do shit. So I went out and I got cleaning supplies and trash bags. And what was it? It was I can't even remember the name of the store that was open late, but thank God it was open late. Because I had to go to a few different places. The trash bag and stuff, you could go to a little market and get that shit. But the knives, like the cleaver and the butcher knife, those were a different matter. Those were a little harder to procure. But I got them. Paid cash, of course. No credit card receipt, no checks, no nothing. Went back to the hotel room, and we proceeded to dismember these 2 little lady hooker strippers in the bathtub. Sorry. So we cut them up. We put them in trash bags. We put those trash bags in bigger trash bags. And we made our way. I don't even know how we didn't get seen, but I think Fred paid some people off. I mean, he had to have. But I mean, we made it out of there. And we discarded them in different trash bins all over fucking LA. Hollywood. And then we went back, we cleaned up, and we got the fuck out of there. I ended up working on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood for, I think it was another couple weeks. Yeah, I think it was another couple weeks. But it was just never quite the same.